Hello, viewers. Welcome to Center-Ecd Enterprise TV. My name is Kenneth Enoruwa. It's a pleasure to be with you today. We will talk in episodes because we don't want this video to be very long. But the few minutes you're going to be here, you're going to learn a lot about planning. It will come in series. It's a topic that everyone know. You know what planning is. You know how to plan. You are an expert in planning. But there are 3 dimensions to planning I want to share with you on this series. It's quite interesting. More of it will be about my personal life experiences, and I know it will benefit you and someone out there. So feel free to listen and share with as many people as you can, and it may be of benefit to someone you never know. So today we'll talk about planning from nothing. When we say nothing, it doesn't mean zero. I mean, it's like, it doesn't mean zero, number zero. It actually means project you're planning for. You don't even have the resources for that project. It's just like an idea you've got. It's like a vision you have. It's like an interest in a matter, in a subject. It's like a desire. Now, the truth is, from research, the youths have that problem of not planning from nothing. I mean, 89% of youths have, they suffer, they regret when they are over 40 years because primarily they didn't plan where they should plan, and that was when they had nothing. Remember the prodigal son in the Bible. The prodigal son in the Bible had access to everything. In fact, he was stupid, or scripture says he was righteous. I mean, greedy and wanting to get everything, spend on everything. So he had access to everything, or as much as he had that time. By the time he went out of the house, then he realized that life was not about spending and flexing, as we call it nowadays, enjoyment. And then he lost everything. Now, if you reverse that story, what you notice is that while the child was in the palace, the prodigal son did not plan. He couldn't imagine what life was going to be like if everything was gone. So if you now reverse it to this topic today, I mean, it's still the same context, just different dimensions. So imagine you have nothing now, and then you anticipate in future you have everything. So it is that anticipation for the future that makes you want to sit down today and make sure you plan your life as much as you can within the limit of what your mind can carry. I will tell you, for instance, some years ago when I had access to my first 1 million naira, well, more than that. When I had, many people, you ask many youth today, what will you do if you have 1 million naira? If you have 10 million naira, if you have $1,000. Ask many people today, they may not be able to answer. Some will just answer, but that answer is not well documented. Ask them 2 months after, they'll give you a different answer. Ask them 3 years after, they may never have seen even half of that amount of money. The problem is 89% of youth, by youth I mean active, have the required skill to get access to what will better them in future, and that's year 0 to year 40. I was in that category, and so I probably fall into the 89% at that time when that research was done. Now, what it means is that whenever you got an idea, whatever passion you've got, whatever vision you have for your life, majority of people don't have the habit of sitting down and planning for that vision. You ask people, what they can tell you is that they want to own a business. They want to have branches at all the whole of Africa. They want to dominate West Africa. They'll tell you, I want to have 200 trucks. 200 trucks on the roads. They'll tell you, I want to own a school. They'll tell you good things. People got good ideas, good plans for life. They'll tell you by the end of this year, I want to go on vacation in, they just have good ideas, but it's not documented. It's not planned out. How do you then want to achieve this? Then they are blank. What then happens if there's a disruption, like there's a shock? They are blank. They don't have an idea. What happens if you don't make the first 1 million in 6 months and probably you have 800,000? They are blank, they don't know what to do. You see what I mean? So the best time to plan is actually now. This is not the planning that you read in textbook. This is not the planning that you go to conferences to attend. It's from practical life experience, right from where you are. Sit down and form the habit of anticipating, form the habit of build predictability power, be able to predict the future, and sit down and plan it. Sit down and plan that future you want for yourself. The best time to prepare for an exam, I always tell youths, is not when the timetable for the examination is released. The best time is when you get into class. So sit down, learn to plan. Scripture teaches us in Luke that a builder first sits down, sits back, count the cost of the project. What is very essential here and instructive for me is that the investor is sitting down, is thinking, is asking questions, is planning. Now, it's also instructive to note that scripture did not say the investor, the builder, have got so much pounds or so much dollars or so much millions in their account set out. No, it is just that the builder needs to sit down, count the cost. And when you do this, you are at an advantaged position when you plan from nothing. It is the time you have nothing that you begin to plan for something. It is when you look like you are empty that you derive the advantage of planning for when you become full. So, I'll share with you 3 basic advantages of planning from nothing. Number 1 is that if you form the habit of writing down ideas and writing down how you intend to achieve your target and tasks daily, weekly, monthly, annually, even a long time, 10 years, 20 years, if you form the habit of talking about it all again and again, all over again and again, and you document it and you take very simple steps to achieving it, you find out that you're already succeeding. It's just like waking up in the morning. God gives us each day, and then we set out to achieve a purpose each day. Okay, I'll give an instance. As a young man, the time I told myself I was going to marry, I had nothing. The time I started talking about marriage, I wasn't even into a relationship. There were certain things I set my mind to, kind of wife will I desire or for my future. And so the moment I began to anticipate it and write it down, my head was clear. My pathway was clear as far as marriage is concerned. So one major advantage is that when you plan from nothing, is that you just start succeeding. Imagine you wake up in the morning and then a day before, or a week or months before, you have planned that day and you have written down this day, at this time I will be here, at this time I will do this. You don't have to make it crowded. It could just be that at this time I must have to be in bed stretching my legs, exercising my legs. If it's just your leg exercise you are doing, I do that. I decide what time I stretch my legs in bed. I decide what time I take my first cup of tea in the day. So those basics, those little things, doing stuff like that, you just move on. Before you know what's happening, because I have planned it and I'm running by it, you just realize you are succeeding. And that's why the concept of being lucky, you say, this guy was very lucky. That's why I don't agree with that concept. Or that's why I tweak it a bit and I say, no, people aren't lucky. People actually just cash on opportunities. And so if you prepare and plan up very well, what you're doing technically is that you are already succeeding. Most people will not plan. They can only just wish. They can only just say. They can only just, they just find planning, as simple and popular as it is, they just find it difficult to follow the true process. And that's exactly what I'm sharing with you. Learn to write it down and then write very simple things you will do each day, each week, each month. You don't have to crowd your life with planning. But once you start writing and start understanding, digesting it, and doing it, those little things, you just find yourself, you are cashing on every gift of the day that God gives you. Things just get better and get better and get better, and you continue to leverage on the skill you have discovered, which is planning from nothing. And eventually, what you are doing is that you are succeeding, and it's a very number one benefit of doing planning from nothing. Number two benefit I want to share with you: when you plan from nothing, from the point of zero, from the point of disadvantage, from the point of lack, from the point of emptiness, when you plan from nothing, you release your head of the stuff in it. You just set your mind free, because so many things are in your head right now as you're watching this video. I've got too many things in my head. I mean, it's hundreds of ideas, tasks to be done. Even today, I've got about 6 things I must do today. I mean, I must do today. This video was one of them. And even this video, I've got time for it. So, but I gave myself some flexibility, because you know, if you kill yourself, that's what we say in Africa. You don't have to put yourself in a very tight corner, and then because you are planning to achieve task or aiming to get the job done, then you don't have time for all the pleasures and leisure, rest and all of that. So even when I'm planning my day, I give room for some of these things. That way, I release my head of so many thoughts, so many actions. So the moment I'm able to put it down, I'm not worried. Some of us, what happens to us is that when we think about the future, when we think about things we want to do, we begin to our head gets, oh gosh, everything just mumbled up, and it looks like too many things in this little head. But the time you are able to put it down, because you are carrying too much. Imagine you talking about a project that will attract $100 million, and here you are in your bank account, you don't have $1 million. So it's actually a burden, but if you are able to release it, throw it out, you give yourself a peace of mind. And it goes back to the first benefit. As you are releasing it from your head, you are actually beginning to succeed. Number 3 benefits you get from planning from nothing is that you just begin to do things orderly. Like the prodigal son didn't plan when he had surplus. He didn't imagine what happens if everything I've got is lost. And then the reality happened and everything was gone. That was when he began to tell, after suffering for a while, then I think I should go back. But what we are teaching you today is the opposite. It's the same principle anyways, but it's just the opposite. Before the harvest, before the projects, before you start winning, before you get to the level you look back and say, yes, I've achieved a little. Right from where you are, where you don't even have 100,000 naira in your account, that is where you start developing a portfolio worth $100 million. Right from where you don't have 1,000 naira in your account, that is when you start developing a real estate business of hundreds of millions. It costs you nothing to plan from nothing. It costs you nothing. But the problem is 89% of youths refuse to plan because they say, I've got nothing. And it's a fundamental error as far as success is concerned. It's a fundamental error. If you don't break that stronghold, you are bound to fail. I want you to start thinking about your life. I want you to start thinking about that business. Start thinking about that investment. And then start researching, reading about it, learning about it. Continue to educate yourself about it. Continue to learn the tricks, the skills you need to succeed in it. And learn the steps one at a time that you should follow to achieving that dream of yours. It's an advantage you have when you plan for nothing. In our next episode, we'll talk about planning from lithium. Planning from lithium. These are packages we have designed for you to help you so that you can understand that what happens to you every day actually is not just chance. What happens every day, if you study events, if you are able to study events, you can see that when Bible says time and chance happens to them all in Ecclesiastes, there are so many lectures we can pick from there. What happens every day is no chance. You can determine, you can plan, you take advantage of things that happen every day. You take advantage of time. And then it's for your own benefit. So what you do from right where you are now, start doing something about your future. We'll stop here. We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you very much.